Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creator to Creators today. Today we have a special guest,
Brooklyn Brown.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you.
Great to see you too, love. It's been a long time. It's been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to open up the conversation, with everyone. I like to kind of go back to the beginning. What was your childhood like, and how was that? How was baby Brooklyn?
Wow, that's a sweet question. I feel like 15. It was very interesting. I had a huge family, 9 siblings.
Oof.
I still have them. Yeah, and we grew up on a farm for the most part. And my mom and dad were really seekers, like religious seekers. So we went from church to church. They were really trying to do the right thing by God and raise us right. They were like, okay, we were raised this way. We didn't agree with these things, so we're going to do it right. So there was a lot of an interesting dynamic there was a lot of love, and there was also a lot of fear. So I would say I had a really good childhood. And also, everyone has things that shape them that aren't necessarily their favorite things.
Yeah.
But I will say overall, I'm grateful for my childhood and for my parents and a big family. It was crazy. There was never a dull moment. A lot of kids to put on plays and productions with, which I like to head those up with the family. And we did commercials too.
Oh wow! Oh wow! So you were already doing the creative.
We were doing
thing.
Stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, we were like only, of course, satirical commercials that we thought were funny, because we would just make fun of commercials at the time. Like we had one called 1-800-BE-KIND, and it was like, give $5 a day for the next 23 years to this child to get a stuffed animal, and the rest of the money will go to us. Yeah, we didn't watch a lot of TV. Growing up, we watched a few of the classics in Disney.
Oh yeah.
So we kind of had to, we would entertain ourselves with reading and creating stuff.
Wow. So that's great that, that like you were pretty much doing the basically your calling, right? With the thing the gift that God's given you to do, even at such a young age. I find it very interesting how there's some like little bits and like things that kind of shapes our future when we're getting on. Like, oh yeah, I was doing that when I was a kid. Oh, it's kind of crazy. Like that's what I'm doing now. Like, or
seriously though.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anybody out in out of your siblings are also in the creative world?
Yeah, there actually a lot of them are.
Really?
My older sister sings. My younger sister sing and play the guitar. My brother is an actor. He actually got into it before I did. He's like, "You're my inspiration." I was like,
"Aw,
little brother." And then I'm like, a little bit later, I'm like, "Mind if I join?" Oh, it's a funny story how like the arts were just interwoven in our childhood. My dad plays the guitar and sings. In
Nice.
fact, he started out as like a youth camp
Wow.
entertainer, counselor, host, kind of a thing. Him and my mom were in youth camp ministry and stuff. So then they had a little tribe of their own.
I love that. That's
So it's
awesome.
been woven throughout the story, our story. And yeah, it's funny, like you said, you just kind of gravitate towards things and you can't really help yourself as a kid. And so there's something telling about that.
Yes, definitely. So how did you find yourself, adult Brooklyn,
Yeah.
getting into, in that world? What was that process like into acting? And I guess because I mean, there's a reason why we do what we do,
Mm,
right?
mm.
What inspires? I guess what inspired you to keep it going and launch that?
Okay, well, that's a great question. I'm always a little bit like bashful about the answer, but I'm grateful. So I moved to Atlanta, 2017, actually 7/7/17. I always think that's kind of
It's a great
cool.
number.
That was when we landed here,
It's awesome.
um, and had moved all our stuff here, my husband and I and our 2 kids at the time. And I had actually done some drama. I tried to start something with drama at our church. We never did a production, but I was fascinated by how of course, always tugged at me. I was
Hmm.
fascinated by how the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
And, I was like, so much of this relates to my spiritual life and like psychological development, emotional development. So I was fascinated by that. Anyway, so I moved here. I didn't have any friends. I was excited to start over and just kind of see who I would become later in life,
Yeah.
without some of the influences or from the past, just kind of starting over, you
Yeah.
know,
It's kind of scary to start
bless the
over.
past. Yeah, and start over. Exactly. So it was scary. I was also really excited because I'd always wanted to move to Atlanta. I
Yeah.
visited here. My husband was from here. It's like, okay. So I got
Nice.
here, you're right. And I got here and I fell in love with this show called Rain on Netflix. And I hadn't given myself the opportunity to really quote unquote binge watch a show. Kids and I kind of got in on the binge watching a little bit later in life. I guess we did some, my husband and I, but I'd always be like, I better not waste any time. Like I just wasn't really conditioned for binge
Yeah,
watching, if you know what I mean.
definitely. Yeah.
Mhm. So but anyway, I started and I really fell in love with the characters and it was really actually ministering my heart. And when I say that, it was like I was crying, it was like touching me in a deep place. And I was like, the arts really do this. I kind of turned off from the arts really affecting me. I kind of had more of a religious mindset. Um, and I guess my heart opened up is the
Right.
best way to say it.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because just as I was realizing all this and I was talking to God about acting, I was like, because I run everything by him. I'm like, best, you're my creator.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, it's like, what would this be a good move kind of a thing? And as I was asking him that, I saw the actresses from Rain, the show, were in town in Atlanta that weekend.
Wow.
And
Talk
I was
about
just, it
divine
was
timing.
right timing. It was
Holy
so
moly.
funny because, like, I mean, I I never really wanted to see any actors and actresses. I didn't really connect as much. I mean, not that I didn't, but like it just kind of felt so far off for me. It was like, oh, actors and actresses,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but because of the show meaning so much to me, I was excited to go see them in person actually.
Yeah.
And my favorite actress from when I was a child, um, from Anne of Green Gables, Megan
Wow.
Follows. She was
Yeah.
one of the queens. She was there, and I just
Wow.
cried when I saw her. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, I'm not an actress. I'm not a fangirl. Like, I don't. What's going on here? It was so funny. I anyway, so they inspired me, and it's the show is it's not a perfect show. It's cheesy, I'll admit. I mean, whatever, but it touched it spoke to me. So
Yeah.
God used it in my life, and and that's the part I'm kind of bashful about. But anyway, I I was asking God, he was like, go for it. I just felt his like go for it in
Yeah.
my heart when I was asking. And so I did. I took the first class that really popped out to me in Atlanta, and called Atlanta Workshop Players. They were really
That's great.
gentle and awesome class. I loved it. So yeah, and then from there,
Just been continue
I've
on.
gone in that direction. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great. But I think that's what it takes, is that leap, it takes that leap, that first step. A lot of people want to do things, but no one actually takes that step. They're like, oh, I'm going to wait on God. And God's like, I'm not coming back until everything's done. Like, I can't hold your hand. I've already done it. Everything's been done. Right. So it's like, if we think of it like that, it could, that, but of course, there's that fear that sets in that kind of stifles us from pursuing that thing that we're like, oh God, is this right? Is this what God is telling me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's so much that can go wrong. It's like, I know I'm going to look like a fool. Like, I'm already almost 30. I was almost 30 when I started. And
that's not old at all, though.
No,
it's never too
not
late.
Anymore.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you say, it is a leap, and a risk, but without risk, no reward. So
absolutely. Exactly. Let's strap it on. Let's go. I love that. But it takes, obviously I commend you. I commend actors. I commend people that are, that is a tough industry. How do you deal with the pressures in being an actress? How do you deal with that?
Sometimes well, and sometimes not so well.
Yeah.
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
No, but one of the things, so I journal every day, and I try to keep things in perspective.
Yes.
And I have actor friends as well that help, like, encourage, and just, people that have been in the industry longer, they're like, this is just how it goes. And, they'll listen to to my woes, and be like, just keep going on. And, this is how it goes. It'll strengthen you. And I was actually looking at my journal from when I first started in 2017, 2018. And God was like, I want you to do this for strengthening purposes as well as the other things. Like, this is going to strengthen you as a person. And I got that word again recently when I was like, because a lot of times I'll just be like, am I supposed to be doing this? This is really hard. Life is already kind of hard. I love it so much. But am I just beating my head, up against a wall? So just that, knowing that it's strengthened me as a person helps me distance myself from the outcomes in different scenarios and auditions. And also I take breaks to be with my family and friends, and I try not to get caught in that crazy rush. Sometimes I do, and my friends and family will attest to this, that I do sometimes get caught up in the rush of it all, like, okay, this deadline, that deadline. But I'm trying as much as possible to get away from deadline thinking and be more in the flow of the moment. Because think about the words deadline. The deadline. I think of like a carrot on a string, and like someone at the end of that line is just like using it to try to, but it doesn't bring life a lot of times. And the deadlines are good for a reason. I get, like, I'm not dissing them. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying not to live by deadlines too much.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, it's an ongoing process. I mean, in any field that you pursue. I mean, I just talked to, I had a guy, he's kind of coming up on an episode. He's a comedian actor. But he started out doing boxing, and he started out boxing when he was younger, and then he gets older. It's just, how it's kind of like how certain things you do and you don't know why you do them. And then it's like, as time goes on, it's like, oh, and then that kind of comes back again. You're like, whoa, that's crazy. Right. And that's just how God works. And, from that someone saw him in the gym, or someone was like, hey, you're going to be in that. I want you to read something for Creed. I mean, it was a Michael B. Jordan picture. And the fact that, his dad put him in boxing. It's like,
wow.
Who knew?
Like, what am I doing here? Like, as far as a plan, it wasn't a plan. It was just a thing. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's all about faith and stepping out, leaping. And even if people around you don't get it, right? As long as you know that it's a word from God, that's all you can bank on, right?
That's a good word. That is a good word right there. Because they're not the ones that have to live your life and reap the outcome of your life. Like they're just on the outside with their own life.
That's it.
Going on.
I mean, and we're all going through things, but I like what, I like that, you went out and you went to this class. When you joined the class, and, meeting people, was it hard meeting people in the Atlanta area? And did you feel kind of nervous of like, oh man, like, how do you do this?
I was very nervous. I did not know what to expect. And I was kind of a little shaky. Like we were all going around the room and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous just to introduce myself to this class. Like, what am I going to do when I get in front of the camera? I was tripping, but everyone was so kind. That was the first thing I noticed. The leadership there at that class, and there's so many great classes here in Atlanta and so many kind people. I would say for the most part, just kind people that want to see you succeed.
That's right.
And that are just like, good. It's a great place to network here. People are so kind. I think that's one of the other reasons I love being an actor here. It's just the people I've met have been some of the best people.
Definitely. You've written some things too, and produced. What made you kind of go in that direction? And what when you write something, because I'm kind of fairly new. I'm a couple years in now writing, but
I've been writing for a while. It seems,
Oh, okay. Well,
it seems like you have.
Well,
I've been writing ever since I've known you.
I mean,
you're always working so hard and like doing so many good projects. It's amazing. You inspire me. So
I paid her to say that, guys. I paid her to say that.
No, she did
it. As far as writing, what inspires you to write something? Is it current events? Is it just okay? I got something I want to share. Like what? And why did you write the project that you did? The few projects.
Okay. Well, which one are you talking about? Run Buds or the pie?
The pie.
The pie. Such a mysterious little film.
Serious.
So what happens to me is I'll get like an idea that just tickles me so hard inside, and when I'm talking about it, I'll just start laughing. So then I know, okay, that's something, we'll come back to that, and we'll see if the next time I tell the story, if I keep laughing, you're right. I know when you make a movie, you're going to be seeing it. And like when you're revising the script, you're going to be seeing it again and again. So it better amuse me, better amuse the crap out of me, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had this idea. Basically, the premise of the film is kind of what made me laugh the most about it was this girl indulges in pie, and because it's partially her eating her feelings, and the moment when it's basically like this girl's getting berated by her aunt. This poor girl. I play the victim, the girl.
Very well, by the way.
I like playing the victim.
I mean, come on. You're great.
It was kind of fun. Anyway, she gets berated by her aunt, and she starts to eat this pie that her aunt takes pride in and is specialized in. She kind of loses her mind and just goes for it. And what makes me laugh about it is just how we get triggered in different ways.
Yeah.
And how we act out. I think triggered is kind of a crazy word now, but we all act out in different ways when we get triggered. And I think internalizing, eating our feelings is one of the ways that I did growing up. And I would kind of like take things internally and harm myself instead of like fixing the problem or standing up for myself and speaking up. So I think it's one of those where it's like a little close to home. It makes me laugh because it's a little close to home. And also, there's a lot of metaphors with the aunt being kind of like a religious spirit or like a condemning voice. And also there's, where she kind of gets what's coming to her at the end. So there's just a little bit of like, it's just kind of chaos and fun at the end.
Do you think writing is therapeutic?
I do. I think writing is therapeutic. So yeah, I like to mix themes. I guess I'm sorry, I kind of got lost in the woods with that. I was like, okay, getting into it. What did I?
No, I love it. I love it.
But yeah, it's therapeutic. I love kind of doing things backwards where I'm like, I really like that. And then I'm unpacking, why is it I really like that? Or that really spoke to me. What was it about that really spoke to me? So I like watching things and writing things that are not just on the surface. You can't tell what's going on necessarily, but there's always, I like it when there's always more going on below the surface, or some hidden meaning, or like a metaphor. I don't know. Those keep me more interested, and and therapeutic to kind of express. Yeah. Do you feel that too?
Oh, like yeah.
With writing?
Oh yeah, I love a good complex character. I love a character that you can have so many layers to unravel, and then you're like, holy, because we kind of almost in this industry, right? We kind of end up maybe subconsciously layering ourselves a little bit to protect ourselves. You know what I mean? The more jobs you get, or the more, I guess, the levels you become in this industry, right? There's the less you kind of show, or real you, I guess, or
right.
But depending on the environment. Yeah, right. And the environment is not so healthy sometimes, so taking that step back to get, to have a real life and have that separate from who you really are. It's very important to not lose yourself, right, in that process.
That's good. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I like characters like that. And I think it speaks to me, like, reminds me like, oh, okay, like, yeah, to remind myself, okay, I can't, and honestly, that's part of the reason why I can't really stay on air, but after I'll tell you.
Okay, tell me. Ooh. Sorry, folks.
Sorry, guys.
For me.
Just for Brooklyn. Sorry. But it's you have to protect you, like that part in this business.
I love that.
So I guess that's layers in a way.
So important. Well, it's like that Bible verse, I don't want to gain the whole world and lose my soul. Like, what would be the point?
Right.
The most sacred part of you, your soul, not losing that, sacrificing that to gain something. Just not worth it.
Right. Speaking of unhealthy, I'm sure, I don't know if I'm sure you heard of it by now, and I'm sure it's like a broken record, but because it's kind of on the topic of keeping up this appearance and the business, how it you kind of fall into that in a way, you kind of get into that world. But with the Will Smith situation and the Oscars, I don't know if you watched it. Did you watch it?
I saw it the next day on my Facebook the wall was just covered with it. I'm like, what happened?
Right.
And then people were unpacking detailed stuff. I was like, I wish I really knew what, of course I found out what happened, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I just think we just saw something that, a person that, I think that it's the industry in itself. We just witnessed someone who had like kind of like I don't want to say a meltdown, but someone who just didn't think, and we could see the problem. Like there's some really serious things going on in his life, and I'm sure if it's and it's with any of us, I think, in this industry, because we have to be perfect all the time.
Good point.
And to live up to a certain expectation,
so to speak. Yeah, exactly. There it goes. Everything you worked for, it's gone. I didn't even remember, honestly. Yeah, I used to watch the Oscars a lot, but it definitely stuck up.
You gotta check back in, and then honestly, personally, for me, it's keeping God first above it all, because
Yes.
you lose yourself in this industry.
So quick. Yeah.
It's the lights are very enticing. uh, as a creator, do you think that the business is changing and for the better, and for women particularly?
Mm,
And if so, how so?
I think so.
Mm,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yes. I would have to say, from my perspective anyway, I just started acting actually right at the beginning of the Me Too movement is when I was, so that
Right.
fall, like, and then 2018, that time I was like, ooh, I feel really a lot safer going in thanks to the Me Too movement. Obviously, some of the stuff would probably ruin people's lives it shouldn't have. I don't, it's like, but there was a lot that needed to happen.
Mm,
Um, and I think a lot of it, yeah, I would say most of it needed to happen. So it was kind of a wake up call. I think that, listen, women, you can't treat women any way you want, and not going to be little pawns and, little bunnies in the scheme. Um, so I was really excited coming into it, having, at the beginning of that, knowing that there's just going to be more hyper awareness. Yeah, there's going to be more awareness, and it was going to be more safe. And I think it has felt that way. Like there's a couple, when I first got in, there's a couple of interesting situations where I didn't know if I was safe, but I had other actor friends that would come around, and I knew who to call. So just, I guess, just being aware of the pitfalls of getting into acting industry, and all of these different groups and forums, warning you about different people or different things. I guess I felt really safe and protected coming in. And I feel like definitely with the spotlight shown on women, um, in this day and age, that, I mean, it's definitely good for women. That's for
yeah.
sure. I will say, definitely more of an opportunity for women. So,
Have you experienced anything like, being in the industry, any type of, I don't know, any like bad situations
well,
or potentially bad situations?
yeah. I mean, just it's hard to say. Nothing, like, I would say nothing mean spirited, so to
That's
speak. I mean, I had
good.
one acting class where there was a really harsh, but it was a woman.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know exactly what you're asking. So I'm like trying to think of all my negative experiences combined, but
It could be with a man or woman, or just anything, like
yeah,
any type of thing that kind of, you know, did, you're like, oh,
yeah,
that
that's a
happens.
that's a good yeah, that's a good focal point. So um I guess a couple of things, I did come in, I think, at a good time, because there has been a lot more grace. But then when I get whiffs of people that were maybe brought up in a past era with acting, and more of an emotionally abusive,
Mm,
I would say, like,
mm,
era where it was like kind of whip you to shreds so you were raw, so that you could perform well, and that just does not sit well with me, like, at all. It's more of
yeah.
like it seems to me more like an abusive spouse or something, where it just, no, I'm not gonna have that. um or just people, I mean, obviously there's objectification,
Mm,
because that's kind of the industry. So that's a hard one to answer, because uh I will say, like, I first got in the first, like, agent viewing that I had, where I kind of got to go around. One of the people was like, or one of the agents was like, well, you are a white blonde woman, because I was blonde at the time,
mhm.
white blonde woman, so I don't think you're going to have any luck getting an agent, stuff like that, where it's like, okay, good to know. And I was just really new to it. I was like, what can I
Yeah,
do
it's like,
about
whoa, whoa.
that? Yeah, because I'm blonde, I guess. I'm red now. But just like little things like that, where it's like, it's not really true. Like, just giving you their opinion, which is fine. But just like little things where it's like, I wish it didn't have to be that way, I guess. Um, but it's just, I just take it as part of the industry. I don't know, like, yeah, just things like that, or like, oh, you're too nice of a person, so you won't get cast. You're too much of a mom. You're too nice, and it's like,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
well, nice moms, like, you finish last, I guess. Just like,
That's
whatever.
wild that you
No,
had that.
just different things where, and obviously I could have been taking them out of context. I have
Yeah,
to, like, I don't have anything against these people, but
of course.
um just things that were like, oh,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's yeah. It definitely is interesting. Like you said, it's their opinion. It's not true, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we're living in a world and even an era now where we have social media, which I think plays a really it's a big part of, we can promote ourselves, we can kind of control our narrative versus,
Yes, you're
go by
right.
what,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, you're right. It's liberating in that way too. It's like kind of it's almost like when the doors have like swung open and everybody
yeah.
can come in, and that makes it really crazy. And like, well, who's writing the rules now, and what do we follow, and do we go by the book, or do we, well, this is getting more, attention. So yeah, it's kind of fun. It's an interesting, it's very experimental, I'll say.
Very much so. It's a very exciting time.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, like, if you don't want to play by the rules, then just do it your way. There's always a way. Obviously, it's going to be a little harder, but if you're up for the challenge of building, instead of getting
Yeah.
put on by someone that versus building your foundation from the ground up, it's a bit different.
Mm,
So
that's good. Yeah, I like that. Well, do you like the current climate? If I can ask you, like, do you like how
things are.
things are going? When you asked me, I
Hmm.
wanted to know more from you, on your end of the US.
No, yeah, definitely. I feel like it's a really good time. I don't know what's going on, but I think it is just a timing, and I'm just trying to. There's so many things that are happening around the world, and yeah, there's chaos and there's all this going on, but also it's really good. Like, I mean, last year I signed a contract for a series to direct, and
Awesome.
it's a sci-fi project. And Noah Miller, just want to give him a shout out. Thank you so much. At a time it was hard to get those kind of jobs. It was
Wow.
nothing, and so I continued to create my own narrative, and I continue to create my own
Hmm.
way. I feel like that
Hmm.
is the way for, I think, anyone. Definitely,
Hmm.
don't stop, creating or working with agencies or whatever, but in those quiet
Yeah.
moments, do
Wow.
whatever that is that you want to do. And then so, because now, because you're not even thinking about it, right? It's not, thinking about
Hmm.
if my agent's going to call or whatever. It
Mm-hmm.
just happens because you're so
Hmm.
busy
Hmm.
creating and manifesting something.
Hmm. That speaks to me. I love that. Need to
So
hear that again and again. There is a lot of just craziness and stuff going on. That's like, it's like refreshing water in my soul to hear that.
I mean, yeah, we all need it. I had a guest on. She's a gospel singer, actress.
Mm.
You've heard that? I think you've heard the
Was
episode.
it the one Del?
Yeah,
Yes.
and she was
Oh, I
talking
enjoyed
about
her.
her taking a stance and saying, like, no, I'm going to do it this way, and it was just very refreshing to see, like,
Hmm.
you can create your
Mm-hmm.
own way, and doors can open and still will open, maybe not when you want, but I think
Hmm.
it's your time and the right timing. You know what I mean? Like, it
Yes,
will
I do.
happen. It was a quiet couple of years, but I never told anyone, what I was going
Hmm.
through.
Hmm.
And you just kind of put your best face forward, you just, but I think it's not what happens to you, it's how you go through it. And it's like a test. It's all a test. And I
Hmm.
think, once you get, and it's a learning process, it's all for the betterment of the bigger
Hmm.
picture, of the bigger
Exactly.
purpose of why we do what we
Exactly.
do. I mean, I'm not doing what I do just to make money and be cool
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like,
What you do.
you
You
know,
do.
thank you.
Hmm.
And so do you.
I
And
like your
so do
shirt,
you.
by the way. Very cool
Thank you.
production.
I gotta send you some merch. I mean, you gotta rock
Yeah.
some.
I need to protect the skin these days. I'm getting older.
You look fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it just, things start happening.
I
It's
love
bigger than
that.
acting, right? It's bigger than,
It totally is. Thank God too, because when the going gets tough, it's like it's great that there's more to life than what we
yes.
do.
Yeah.
Ah, I'm grateful for that.
Def
Bringing on
def
the truth, I love it. I'm just kind
no.
of soaking in it.
And I'm soaking yours in as well. What advice would you give to anyone that wants to really get into this business and pursue it?
Great question. I would say find an acting class. Just start, like you said, you just have to go for it. I would say like, find one that really resonates with you when you read, find that one that looks like a good, I would say a safe place because, you know, someone that looks kind and friendly, like starting
Yeah.
out so you can blossom and not get shut down and get the door slammed in your face and whatever else happens. I would say just, yeah, find someone that has good reviews, and that looks like a good place. And yeah, and just start unwinding. I I watched La La Land before I became an actor, and it was so funny because when I was watching it, I had this sense that I was going to need to do what she was doing, and I needed to. Like it wasn't, do I want to? It was like I have to do that.
Mm,
And what she was doing in my mind's eye, I could see was just, it's just like disrobing, like literally taking
mm,
off all these old heavy coats, taking off all of these protective barriers, and just coming out into the light and being like, this is me, here I am, and this is who I am, and letting your light shine. And that's what I saw when I watched that movie. It was funny because, I mean, I don't know if it's been a while, I don't know if it explicitly does anything like that, but I saw it when I watched that movie. I was like, and so if there's something like that in this person, whoever we're in your audience, whoever we're talking to that wants to get started, just to go for it. And it is rewarding. There's so many YouTube videos and books out there. I started actually before I went to class. I did start like watching Wendy Allen Wright and like
nice.
different talent agents and different people giving advice, different actors giving advice. I started learning monologues on my own a little bit because how I tested out if I really wanted to do it. This one might be a good thing for people to do as well, is read a book on acting. And if it fires you up, go. Just go. Yeah. And if it bores you to death, which I don't know how it can do that, but if it does, then probably not for you. Maybe do something else. But just like, yeah, as you look into it, see what it does inside, and then follow that. I would say.
I love that. Great advice. Thank you. Would you say that the as a Christian actress, would you say that the Christian industry is changed? Is
You're baiting me.
what do you think that the Christian industry is missing
Mm.
as far as reaching and being more of a competitor, honestly, on that level of
Yeah,
Netflix and Hulu and all those places?
yeah, no, great question. I think quality is the obvious one.
Hmm.
Um, and I also think outside the box thinking
Hmm.
and creativity with telling stories, uh, quality creativity. And I think um, maybe even I like, you know, I have a mixed feeling with the word relevance, but
Mm,
some relevance without compromise, I would say.
gotcha.
Um, like not being afraid to tackle issues that are messy
Mm,
and, with honesty and grace, truth and love, those two together. Um, yeah, I think that I and if I may go into one side shoot on that topic,
yeah.
one of the things I think that's missing in Christianity in general is a revelation of the goodness of God
Mm,
and of how He does want us to have pleasure and fun and joy,
yeah.
and that He created all those things. And I think it's time that we wake up to the fact that those are not the devil's areas, that those are not
Mm,
his criteria. That and in fact, this came to me a few weeks ago at a concert, but it was just like the biggest scam is that God doesn't own pleasure anymore. That God doesn't own fun and joy. That for some reason that's all now the devil's range and that's his thing. And then God is like all these things, hard things and disciplines, and which, there's hard things in life and obviously in discipline, but that that he's been painted as this one-sided, no good, um, basically just stone wall that says no to everything that we want. And the
mhm.
devil's like, yes, whatever you want, you can have it. And
Yeah.
so I really feel like there's a misconception in the church, even, and in the world, about how God feels about pleasure and our desires and
Yeah.
giving us what we need and what we want. And yeah, I feel like that's a whole, just
Another
a
podcast
big scam.
episode.
Right, exactly. So that's
No,
all
that's
I'll say for
great.
now.
No,
It's
that's
interesting.
I love that. No, I agree with that 100%. That that's real. And I mean, I
Mhm.
think a lot of times, like you said, the church, we kind of think that like I know someone without saying that kind of they kind of say like, God, he punishes us, it's his will for us to do. I'm like, what? Like, what kind of revelation is that? Like,
Mm.
or even
Yeah.
if you say, like, if you're you hear some Christians say, like, I just want to, whatever God wants me to have. I'm like, well, what about your desires?
Yeah. What about the desires he put in your heart? What about the thing that you were born to do, that you
Right.
actually want to do if you can just dig deep enough to find it and get rid of the hindrances?
That, that's it. No, I like that. And I totally agree with that. That's great. That's great. Um, if you, also, I read in your bio and really quick touch on you love the BBC. You want to do like period pieces. What draws you into BBC and period pieces? I mean, I
Yeah, I guess
totally
that's what you said.
understand.
I'm wondering, your smile is cryptic. I'm like, what do you think about them? No, I what draws me, I think the elegance and the beauty and the splendor, shall I say, majesty of it all. Um, and I love the way that I love the subtleties of it. And I think there's a ton of amazing British actors too that just really convey things without going overboard. But yet for some reason I feel like British shows, and a lot of their TV and stuff, I don't know if I feel more when I watch them, if it's the way that they're cut, if it's the way that the acting is, I think it's a little bit of everything. But I want to be a part of that. I'm like, that thing that I love, I want to do that.
Did you
I
watch
want some
Downton
part in making
Abbey?
that. I did. I
Of
liked it.
course, of
Yeah, I
course, of
liked
course you
it.
did.
Yeah.
Bridgerton? Did you see Bridgerton?
So I did see the first season of Bridgerton. I liked it. It was a
Okay.
little crazy, but I liked it. Did you like?
I've watched a few episodes, and then I don't know. I got so busy. I need to fit.
You're
Honestly,
too
there's
busy
so many
making
shows. There's so many shows I want to watch. I did watch Severance. It's not BBC at all, but it's a fantastic show. I mean, I was hooked. I was like,
ooh, I'm gonna need to
fiending for more. I was like,
really?
When's this episode coming out?
Severance.
Like,
Okay,
Severance.
writing that down.
Yeah, Apple
somewhere.
TV. It's
Okay.
fantastic.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Psychological layers upon layers.
Layers. Okay, I'm there.
You're right.
I'm on the way.
I hope I pitched it well.
You did. I'm drooling.
Awesome. Are you working on anything at the moment? Do you like to share, or like are you writing anything?
Yeah, good question. Right now I am just putting my reel together for the first time. That I'm working on my things I haven't done that I've been trying to do, and doing an agent a showcase thing.
Awesome.
Class this next month. So preparing for that. I'm honestly working a lot on my wellness business and monologues, and just in class I learned some relaxation techniques and imagination stuff. So I'm trying to do that every day to stay sharp and work on my monologues. So I'm just kind of I'm trying to stay sharp. I'm trying to tie up some loose ends, things I need to do, get an agent. And I really like that word flow, go with the flow. And I'm not writing anything right now. I have some ideas percolating. My friend Jamie Lynn, who I made the pie with, she texted me yesterday and was like, girl, we gotta get together and let our creative juices flow. So, yes, my brothers and sisters, they all want in on the next one too. A couple of them did the last one. And so I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Because part of it is the fun of creating something together and the time spent together, and like the collaboration, because like I collaborated a lot with them on the pie. When I did Run Buds, I was collaborating many different edits or drafts. So yeah, right now nothing. I haven't created anything. I'm pretty much just I
love that.
Just going steady.
I love it. Going with the flow. I love it. Where can people find you on social media? And look you up.
Right now, Mrs. Brooklyn 8. At Mrs. Brooklyn 8 is my my Instagram, and you can. It's kind of linked to everything else. I have a link tree on there with some of my wellness products, and I'm still trying to set it all up. I have a little wellness coaching thing I started, which is I'm still branding that and trying to get all my brands in the group, defining things. So yeah, that's my main one, I would say, at Mrs. Brooklyn 8.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me. It's so good talking to you.
Always. It's super uplifting, and I hope whoever listens also feels the same way as well. I'm sure they will.
Awesome.
Thank
you, friend.
Of course, my darling. Thank you guys for listening, and always remember to live, love, laugh. Bye, guys.